Hello all, this is Generative AI course. In this video, we are going to see the sentiment analysis using TensorFlow and PyTorch libraries. Okay, so what is a sentiment? Sentiment analysis is a way for computers to understand how people feel about something based on their words. For example, if you're sad, or if you're happy, or if you're in a party mood, or if you're studying, or if you're taking exam, you would be having your own feelings and you would express that on any social media. Similarly, when people write their comments, for example, at the end of course evaluations, you write the comments in a text free format. So we would be able to identify whether the student has been given this comment in a frustrated mode or in a happy mode or in a mode that they want to get a grade. Okay, so identifying the identifying the expression of the given statement is basically a sentiment. Okay, so it's a way to tell how people would be able to feel about some words. Okay, it helps us to figure out whether it is a positive, negative, or neutral. Okay, on the screen you could see there are some words that you could be able to see: joy, pleasure, enthusiasm, amusement, hope, inspiration, love. So all these are positive words. So if I say, how was your day? Someone would say, awesome. So if I ask someone else, they might say, it sucked today. So which is not so good, in a negative way. So sentiment can be in several different ways, but we broadly classified here into three emotions that you could be able to do. And one application for this sentiment analysis is directly in the sociology. Sociology, which is kind of like a sociologists want to know the sentiment of people on a given social movement. So, a social movement is something that could occur on social media about Me Too or, so hashtag, whatever the hashtags. So, they want to identify how people are actually looking that particular hashtag thing. So in order to do that analysis, they collect all the data using some Twitter libraries and then analyze using some sentiment using NLP, natural language processing toolkits, and able to identify, okay, 90% of the people are positive, or 10% or 5% or negative, 5% or neutral. So they come up with some sort of analysis. It's not always the positive and it's always not always the negative. Sometimes when you see the final analysis results, you would get a surprising results. So that's very common. Okay, so let's keep that story aside and see how we could be able to program this in the generative AI stuff. Okay, so as you know, we use collabs. I have given the objectives introduction of that and some positive statements. So I love cheese sandwich. It's so delicious. Some negative statements. The burger is very bad. And I ordered pizza today. So this is kind of a neutral sentiment that you would be able to get. Okay. What are the requirements in order to implement this one? So we are using Hugging Face library here. So we are using transformers from that and TensorFlow, which is developed by Google, and it helps for you to design and deploying the complex deep learning models. Okay, so let's see the major steps. So these are the steps that you must be aware, and this also would help on the for you on the exam as well. So first step is always install the necessary packages. In this, we are using transformers and TensorFlow. So some of you may say that, well, without these two, I could be able to find out the sentiment. That's perfectly fine. But in this example, I'm using this, but you could come up with the different packages also, or without any packages. That's fine. Okay. So the next step is you need to write the piece of source code. That source code includes importing those packages, transformers, TensorFlow, and these modules perform sentiment analysis 2.2 that uses a pipeline called sentiment analysis. Pipeline means basically what you would be able to do in that. So you could do sentiment analysis or text classification or text summarization, text generation. All these things are the pipelines that you could be do as a in the classifier there. And then you would be enter an input. That means for whatever the sentence that you want to identify the sentiment, you need to enter that. Do some sentiment analysis using your source code, and then know the emotion what it is providing and perform sentiment analysis on multiple statements. So 2.3 is one statement, 2.3 to 5, and 2.6 we are doing multiple statements or kind of a paragraphs to identify a sentiment of a paragraph. Okay, let's see here. So as you know, the first step, so the famous command to install is pip install. We are using pip install transformers. If you get any error, you could do pip hyphen m, python hyphen m pip install, and then you could be able to execute this. So if you are executing successfully, you would be able to run all these packages. And pip install TensorFlow, which is the second one. And now we have to import those two statements. Okay, so import transformers and TensorFlow. So in 2.1 here, so from transformers you're importing the pipeline, and then we are using sentiment analysis pipeline as classifier. So this could be a local variable that you could use anything. So I'm using classifier, so pipeline, and you're passing sentiment analysis here. Okay, so this since there is no model supplied here, the default model is this one. So it's going to use the default model, this one. Okay, automatically from the Hugging Face library. So if you want to use any models, just use sentiment analysis comma and use the model name there. So since we are not using any model, it's automatically taking this as a model. Okay, so it would run. So once it runs, our next statement is you're providing some input sentence. You know that if you have lots of underscores, you don't have to worry. That's nothing but a variable name. You are entering some value here, and then the input entered is it is nice, and perform analysis by using the classifier of that input sentence, and you would be passing it to giving as a sentiment. And the variable sentiment has been printed. You get a label. How it is going to label, whether positive, negative, or neutral. It is labeled as positive, and the score, this is a confidence level, identified as 99.98% confidence level that it is positive statement. It is nice as a positive statement. Okay, so this is on one statement here. Okay, let me go back once and show you what all you need to do. So basically you're importing a pipeline. Okay, so once you import the pipeline, you are applying, you're giving whatever the analysis or whatever the pipeline thing that you want to do. In this case, sentiment analysis. If you want to do a text summarization, you could do a text summarization. Okay, but you are not giving any model here, so by default it is using this model. Okay, so this is a model name that has been developed. Okay, so you could come up with any different model. So again, entering the data, identifying its sentiment, and printing its sentiment. So here I see I hate you and I love you and I hate you. Okay, so basically you're trying to print, so you would be get a sentiment here again. Okay, so and here the sentiment is also 99.98% confidential, 99.91% confidential. One thing that I did not notice using this model is kind of a neutral. So maybe if you come up with some example that gives a neutral value, that could be excellent. Okay, so on my next tab here, you have already executed some piece of code. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. So I installed this. I have installed, yeah. So input sentence. I need to, yeah, let me enter some value. So, I mean, in order to enter some value, basically you need to click run here, and then you will get a text field here to run. Maybe I am Going to Walmart to purchase greeting cards. Okay. As soon as you type the text, just uh, click the or hit the return key or enter key. So that way you don't have, once you click the enter key, do not run once again this one. So that means it is considered that you have entered your output. Okay. Now run this one. Now run this one. So it give me negative, which is 85.5. I was expecting positive, but I don't feel bad because this is not my model. Maybe you have to come up with a better model that it would generate a better result. I'm doing this. So this is sensitive data. Oh, I'm sitting here. Let me change that to a different value. It's a kind of a list data. I mean, everything what you provided in the square brackets is kind of a list in Python. Um, I am dancing. New York City is beautiful. Let me get something negative. Uh, you're so mean. Okay. So this is kind of like a different, I mean, this identifying the sentiment given in a list, kind of. Positive, positive, positive. Okay, this is negative. If you look at all the sentiment levels is 99. I mean, let me go from beginning. 97.6. See, I'm sitting 97.6. That makes sense because I am sitting because of sick, or I'm sitting on the beach, which I don't know, right? So 97.6 is okay to me, even though if it's not 99.9. So I'm dancing. I mean, I would dance if I'm happy, right? So New York City is beautiful, which is 99.98 confidence level. And you're so mean, which is also 99.9. So you're so mean is in a not a good tone, anyways, right? So if you notice here, the sentiment is only 85.5. Okay, so what was our input here? I'm going to purchase, sorry, I'm going to Walmart to purchase greeting cards. Okay, so that is kind of, I don't know whether it's a positive. I'm thinking greeting cards in a positive way, but some people would purchase greeting cards if someone wants to show a sympathy, all that stuff. So, but I don't know what this model is trying to do. So you could be able to use 85.5. Okay, so as confidence level, which is not 99.9. It's not as confident as in the second part. Okay, so this is with the sentiment analysis. So basically your goal is to find out the better library in the Hugging Face and see what is giving the best results, and whatever the what sentiment values are existing other than the positive, negative, and neutral, and see and just explore on this to import necessary packages. Okay. All right. Thank you.